Hey, how's it going? It's Michael, as you can see for the from the YouTube channel name. I want to make a really quick video just talking about why I personally believe it's so important to get on the right track young. And when I say get on the right track, I'm talking mostly about habits, I'm talking about beliefs, I'm talking about mental clarity, I'm talking about those kinds of things, and why I put an emphasis on doing that when you're young as opposed to later on in life. I want to preface this by saying that I am not perfect. I'm 21 years old. I've been 21 for now since April, May, June, July, August, September. So, what, six roughly months I've been 21 years old. And I'm not perfect. I've done stupid things, gotten drunk, high, you call it, smoked cigarettes, cigars, whatever. But, like, stayed up late, etc. However, the one thing I do realize, right, by the way, I mention that just because I think there's a time and place when you're young to do fun, stupid stuff. Putting all of that aside, the reason why I keep coming back like over and over and over and over to trying to be much more stoic and intentional and serious about how I approach so many things in my life, mostly my beliefs and my habits. And I guess habits are the same as like the actions you take or the work that you do, if you will. But those two things I take so seriously because I remember I heard it was either Dr. Andrew Huberman or it was Joe Dispenza or it was Brian Tracy or it was someone else, but I remember hearing that your brain is extremely plastic as a kid, and it's one of the reasons why it's so easy for the children to like learn languages, and I didn't think much of it. But then I remember hearing that for the same reason that it's easy for kids to learn languages, it's difficult for adults to do it. It's because their brains aren't as plastic. The beliefs, the actions, the thoughts you have, the neural wiring and pathways that have, the myelin or whatever it's called, coding around it, that create the neural pathways, thickness and strength and speed, resistance. That's pretty much set in stone. That doesn't mean it can't be changed when you're older, but it's much, much harder. Let's say the kind of muscle growth you want to get as a, 15-year-old, you'll do 10 push-ups and you'll get it. As a, an analogy would be you could be 50 years old, you'd need to do 1,000 push-ups to get the same kind of growth. Now, maybe it's not a fair example, and I'm definitely not talking about muscle growth. This is in your brain. But something about, smoking weed, something about, being negative and depressed, something about, being lazy and doing things that teach your body to feel negative emotions and to not trust yourself, all these different random things that come from everyday activities and making bad choices and choosing what's easy or fun as opposed to what's hard and what's difficult oftentimes, that leads to you developing a brain when you're the most plastic, and becoming a strong-willed smart person is the easiest. You're setting yourself up for a trajectory, kind of like a plane that's adjusting its degree, its angle before takeoff. You're setting a trajectory for the rest of your life that's very, very hard to change, for something that's negative, for a downward spiral. And for me, that's extremely scary because I remember there'd be times where I'd be maybe 16, 18, 20 even. And I'd think to my future, I'd think to when I'm going to be 30 or 40 or 50. And the irony of this is I'd think about me being that age and how I know there will be times when I'll think back to this age. Like I was kind of conscious of the fact that my 50-year-old self will think back to me being 16 right now or me being 18 right now. Like I know it's gonna happen. I actually have like this weird, like almost time travel thing. Cause like I'll be that age one day, but right now I'm that age. And I knew that one thing that one regret I'd have is that if I was 50, 40, 30, and I wasn't wealthy, smart, successful, it'd be because I would have known I failed at this age. And I couldn't explain how I knew it. I think it's from what I heard there. It was also very intuitive, and I felt it like deep in my heart after I got out of high school. Life felt very real, and I'm so thankful I didn't go to university or college where, life still kind of stays easy in a way. Not to say it's like perfect or anything, but you're kind of still sheltered, you're with your friends. I was just tossed down like with surrounded by 40 and 50-year-old men on a construction site like in the summer of 2023 or 22. So for that reason, I think anyone who's watching this video who's probably below the age of like 25, I believe in men it's between like 21 to 25 is like where you can, it's kind of less plastic, but 25 is like where you kind of hit that limit of adulthood and your brain doesn't develop that much, neither does your body. Um, I think it's so important to like take all this stuff seriously now. I know it sucks. Like sometimes developing habits that are, uncommon, habits that are difficult, whether it's going to the gym or reading pages of a book that can be boring, or developing a skill that is useful but it's difficult and stressful and whatnot. Whatever it may be, just remind yourself that unfortunately this is the easiest it will ever be, which honestly for me makes it that much easier. Like that, just knowing that makes it easy enough for me to start doing. And actually, I'm guilty of not doing enough. I still think there are plenty of things where I could be doing way more than I'm currently doing. But I think at the very bottom, kind of unraveling what maybe you could have learned from your parents or from other influences. Because when you're a child, you're so um, impressionable. It's so easy. You're so easily influenced by your parents. In fact, all you want as a child is safety and comfort from your parents' approval. And if you do something and you don't get it, or you do something and you get it, you learn this associative kind of habit where maybe doing this thing, people pleasing, or staying away from doing stupid risky stuff, that gives you the donut, the treat from your parent. Your parent like gives you the love, but otherwise they're like, no, don't do that, you'll XYZ. And if you do it, your parent like distances themselves from you, and you learn that you should never go take risks. You develop a big fear of failure because of what that meant to you as a child. All these things are hard, but the easiest they'll ever be to rewire and change when you're still young. So I know it's crazy. I covered so many different things, but if you're 16, 18, 20, go read up. Like, go off of this video, learn and read about how like when you grow up, how your parents' relationship with you impacts who you become as a person, how your parents teaching style, their parenting style influences what kind of person you become, what insecurities you may have. Go learn about it. It's going to be like one of the craziest, most shocking things you ever learn about. Go also learn about self-esteem and the association between self-esteem and how happy people and how successful people are in life, and how correlated they can be. Go learn about like the habits that lead to the most success. There's a really good book called The Seven Habits of Successful People, by Stephen Covey, I believe. Very good book. I haven't read the whole thing, to be honest. But it's a great book that talks about a couple of habits that are really, really important. In general, and I even recommend watching Chase Hughes, really, really good guy who talks about this stuff. Joe Dispenza is a really good, Carl Jung stuff, Brian Tracy. They all talk about some of that more granular psychological stuff. And I wish I learned this earlier. I wish when I was like, I don't know how old I was, but when I was like 16 to 18, when I was first just kind of looking into making money online and all this stuff, besides like learning the skill side of it, I wish I learned more about the psychological aspect of it. Why is it that people chase money? Why is it that people chase wealth? What kind of status? What are the underlying subconscious reasons for it? Right? Why are these people chasing status? Is it status? Is it something else? Like all this stuff I didn't know much about, and unfortunately I didn't, but now you can. I really highly recommend anyone who's young to go learn about it, and also go learn about the plasticity of your brain. Anything that's good is kind of enhanced and it's exaggerated when you're young, and anything that's bad, same thing. It has more serious detrimental effects, right? You smoking weed when you're 40 won't do nearly as harm as it will when you're 16 or when you're 18, right? So for those reasons, it's so important to like keep drugs and alcohol and all that stuff away from children, but also beliefs. Right? Beliefs are what are the seeds that kind of lead to the fruit of our actions, of what we do in day-to-day life. And if you don't believe in yourself, right, you're never going to take action that's going to get you anywhere good, anywhere you want to be. So besides the habits and stuff, really think about What do you think about every day? How do you see yourself? Do you have high self-esteem? Do you believe things are easy for you or possible? Do you think that if you have enough, willpower, you'll be able to achieve things? All of this matters, right? And I wish I knew more about it when I was younger. I'm 21. I'm blessed to be this young. I'm very grateful to be this young and still know about it. I know there's plenty of people who don't know anything about this stuff. There we go. We're back. I know there's plenty of people who are 30, 40, 50. They don't know anything about this stuff. So I'm so grateful and blessed. But in general, I know I covered so many things there. It's a lot of things that are on my mind. Be very, very, very mindful of the habits and the thoughts that you have at a young age, because they really determine where you're going to head for the rest of your life. Because it's much harder to really develop good habits or break bad ones at a later age, which simply means that you really determine the trajectory and your destiny when you're young.